I love it when it's loud, I love it when it's big. You can feel it in the crowd, come on bang them sticks. I said I love it when it's loud, I love it when it's big. Cause you can feel it in the crowd, come on bang them sticks.
Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on this springtime look that I'm wearing right now. I really love it because it's really bright without being like in your face, and it's got those like really fun pinks and purple springtime tones. It's just a really fun look to wear this time of year. So without talking too much, let's just get right to it. So I've already primed my face. I use the Rimmel Stay Matte Primer. It comes in this white and purple bottle. I did this probably about 10 or 15 minutes ago. You really want to make sure that you moisturize and prime your face a little bit before you put on your makeup so it has time to soak into your pores and your skin, and make sure that the makeup isn't sliding around your face. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with my face since this is a light spring look. A lot of times I will start off with my eyes if I'm going to be doing more of a dark smoky look, so that if there's any fallout onto my cheeks I can just easily wipe it up. But since this is a lighter look, I'm going to start with my face. I'm using the LA Girl Pro BB Cream in the shade Light. I got this from Morphe Brushes when I went last time, and I honestly thought I wasn't going to like it, but I thought no, give it a chance, you know, just test it out, and I actually do like it. It's really light consistency. It has more of a sheer coverage, but in the areas that I want a little more coverage, I can build it up. So I'm just going to put a little bit on the back of my hand, and then I'm going to pick it up with my finger and just kind of dot it around my face. And then I'm going to blend it out with a damp beauty blender. And even though I'm going to be putting concealer on in, you know, later on in areas that I want to conceal, I still put a little bit of foundation in those areas so that if I don't have to use as much concealer, I don't have to. So I just take my damp beauty blender and start patting that foundation into my skin. And I still have a little bit of product left on the back of my hand. I kind of poured out a little bit too much. So I can add it to some problem areas that I'm having, like here around my chin, and my nose always gets really red, so I can add a little bit more when I'm done. I'm going to be using the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Dark Circle Eraser. It looks like this, and it's handy because it has this little like sponge tip that when you twist, the product comes through the sponge and you can apply it straight from there. I don't blend it out with the sponge, but I do apply it and then blend it out with either my beauty blender or a brush, whatever I'm feeling that day. So I'm going to be putting it right underneath my eye where the dark circles show up, and then down on my face but the side of my nose, and then up onto my cheekbones to get that little highlight. So in this upside down triangle motion, I put a little bit on my eyelids. Use it as a concealer and a primer for eyeshadow. I like to put it down the bridge of my nose, a little on my chin, and in the center of my forehead. Then I'm going to be going in again with my damp beauty blender and just patting all of that concealer out and making sure that I don't have any fine lines. Oh, I didn't put any on that eyelid. Let's add some to the other eyelid so I don't look as crazy as I do right now. Now for a a little bit of a light contour, I'm going to be going in with the L'Oreal True Match Crayon Corrector. It looks like this, and it just looks like a fat pencil. And this is in the color medium. And it is retractable, so you can twist the bottom and it gets higher, which I like because then I don't have to sharpen it. It's plastic on the outside. So I'm going to start. The line that you want to do for your cheeks is from the top of your ear down toward the corner of your mouth, but you don't want to take it all the way to the very corner of your mouth or else it gets really dramatic. So I'm going to start at the edge, right where my ear is, and take it down toward the corner of my mouth and just leave it right there for now. And when I blend it out, we'll blend out those harsh lines and it'll get a little closer to my mouth, but not much. Then I'm gonna take just a tiny light amount and put it on the sides of my nose, because this is one of those days that I just feel a little bit more comfortable with a slight nose correction. I have a bump on this side of my nose, and so I like to just take a contour or a shade and just draw a straight line on this side and a straight line on this side, and when we blend it out, it'll narrow out my nose and make it so that bump isn't as visible. If you don't have a bump, if you have a perfectly straight nose, awesome for you. I don't. I take this step every once in a while when I'm feeling it. So now I'm going to take this crayon and put just a tiny bit on, like, around the edges of my forehead. I don't take it up to the very top, but you absolutely can. You do you. So then, trusty beauty blender, a little bit dirty beauty blender, but that's how much I use it. And I'm going to go in and just pat, a little bit of swiping, but mostly patting, to blend out my cheek contour. And then for my nose contour, this is just a little bit too big for that and it blends it out too much, so I'm going to use my fingers. And just lightly go in and pat it. And it turns into a nice blended shadow rather than a harsh line. Keep in mind too, this took me a normal amount of time, a normal person's amount of time to blend out. It seems like it's faster thanks to the power of video editing, but it's gonna take you, you know, a little bit to blend it out. Not forever, it shouldn't take you forever, but you know, don't expect to do it in 15 seconds because it's not that fast. But the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. So next I'm going to just set all of the highlight and contour and foundation and everything that I just did with powder. I have to set my entire face with powder because my face is super oily. So an hour from now, if I don't set everything that I just did, it's going to just smear all over my face and just be a mess. So if you have oily skin like me, then you absolutely have to set your foundation and your, you know, everything. You have to set your face with powder. If you're not oily, if you're really dry, I would still recommend at least setting the T-zone, the places that normally get a little bit oily. That's like your forehead, your nose, definitely your under eye concealer, because even if you're dry, it'll just crease from your eyes moving throughout the day, and maybe a little bit on your chin. But if you're oily like me, everything. So I'm going to be taking the Maybelline Shine Free Loose Powder. It's just a loose translucent powder in the shade Light. And I'm going to be using my Morphe M438 brush. It's a tapered fluffy brush that looks like this, and I just get a little bit on my brush, tap off the excess, and then I go in, two things in my hands, my beauty blender, and with no extra product added onto it, just with whatever I had from before, just nothing extra, and go in and look up to get your under eye area nice and taut, and just buff it out again to make sure that nothing's set in the fine lines underneath your eyes. Keep looking up, and with this brush, just go and pat that loose powder in there. Now you just want to go around the rest of the face and set everything else. I like to use the Morphe G7 brush. It's a nice fluffy brush that looks like this, and I just go around and set the rest of my face with that exact same powder. Next step is completely optional. I am going to go in with the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Powder in the shade C6. This is technically not a bronzer or a contour color, but I like it, and it's a little bit darker. It's a lot darker than my skin tone, and I'm going to use it. Now, you don't have to do this. The reason I say it's optional is because you already have your cream contour here, but if you like it a little bit more defined, then you can go in after you have used the translucent powder on your whole face and just put a little bit of this on over the top of it. And so I like to take this Morphe M178 brush. It looks really similar to the tapered brush that I just used, but the bristles are a lot more dense, and so it works really well on blending these contour areas in. And so I just put literally a tiny bit on my brush and then still tap it out. And then I go in and just start at the very edge of my face and blend really lightly, just to give a little bit more depth to the contour shade that I already put there. And then without adding any extra product, I'm going to go in and do the same around the edges of my forehead. There's still a little bit of product on the brush, but I didn't add anything extra. And my baby hairs always get in the way. Does anybody else have that problem? Your baby hairs just like jumping into your makeup like they think they belong there? Happens to me all the time. And then without any extra product, you can absolutely add product at this step. I just don't feel like it today. I'm going to just blend in a little bit right underneath my jawline, just to kind of carve it out a tiny bit. Like I said, there's no extra product on my brush, so it's really not even that much. But if you want to add product to carve out this jawline a little bit better, be my guest. It looks gorgeous. So, just to make sure I don't have any harsh lines, I'm going to be going in with this nameless brush. It is a nice fluffy, just kabuki. A nice fluffy kabuki brush, and it doesn't have any product on it, but I'm going to go in and just blend out the edges of my contour, just to always make sure that I don't have any harsh lines. It is not flattering on anyone. So I think this is as blended out as I'm going to get. So moving on to blush, I'm going to be using the NYX powder blush in the shade Peach. I actually don't know why it's called Peach, because it looks really pink to me, and you guys are going to be like, whoa, pink. Yeah, it is whoa pink in the container, but it is gorgeous if applied really lightly on the cheeks. Perfect, perfect spring shade. So I'm going to be going in with another Morphe blush brush, and the number has rubbed off, so I don't know what number it is, but it's in the Italian Badger series. It's a little bit of an older series, but it looks like this. And I just put the tiniest little bit on my brush and still tap off the excess. Remember, you can always add more, but it's really hard to take product off once it's applied. So just start really light, and then if you want it a little bit darker, you can blend it out. This is especially true with blushes, because I feel like if you put too much blush on, it's like, whoa. So I'm just applying this to the apples of the cheeks, and then really lightly, gradually just working back over my cheekbone. Then I'm gonna go in with this same blending brush, that's what I'm gonna call it, and with no extra product, and just blend right over top of the blush that I just applied. I'm going to be going in with the same tapered brush that I used to set my under eye concealer, and I'm going to be using the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Soft and Gentle. It's like a pinky, really shimmery highlighting color, and so I just use the tiniest bit of it. Like I said, my skin is really oily, so I'm always really hesitant about adding shimmery shades, because later on it's gonna make me look extra just shiny. But this shade is just so beautiful, and I just put it on really sparingly to the very tops of my cheekbones, just to add that little extra oomph of gorgeous. Oh, it's so pretty. But it's only a little bit. Those of you with drier skin who are not going to look wet like I will later, you can absolutely add a little bit to the center of the forehead, a little bit on the bridge of your nose, a little on the chin. You can use it as a brow highlight, which we are going to do in a little bit, but I use a matte brow highlight. But you can absolutely use this shimmery MAC's Mineralized Skin Finish shade if you want to. And then after my whole face is done, I like to just go in with the Morphe G7 that we used earlier with no extra product, and just go in and just blend out the whole face. And I'm pretty sure everything is blended in really nicely by now, but I just like to do this as almost like a security step, like, okay, everything is blended together, plus this brush is so soft. This whole Gunmetal series from Morphe Brushes is just so luxurious, like, oh my gosh. So I just blend over the whole face with no product, but it's what I do. Next, we're going to be filling in our brows. One of my tried and true brow pencils is the Maybelline Expert Wear. It is, I'm sure you recognize it, it's this little red pencil, and I use it in the shade Taupe. Is it called Taupe? No, I lied. It's called Blonde. I feel like brows are so personal. Everybody does their brows differently, but I'm going to show you how I like to do mine. So the first thing I'm going to do is just lightly comb through them with a spoolie, a disposable mascara wand, just to get any powder out of them that I may have put in them while I was doing my face. And then I'm going to really lightly start at the inner corner of my brow, flicking upward in the same direction as the hair. So as we keep going, I'm going to change the direction that I'm flicking this pencil to mimic the direction that the brow hairs are growing in, if that makes sense. And then as I get closer and closer to the outer corner, I can apply a little bit more pressure, because it's okay to be dark out here. And you want to fill in any sparse areas that you have. My brows start to get sparse on the top toward the outer edge, so I just start filling in a little extra out there. But everybody's brows are going to be different, so you fill in wherever yours are sparse, or if they're not sparse, then just fill them in everywhere really lightly so you have a more defined brow. So that looks a little dark right now, which is okay, because I'm going to go in, because I'm going to go in a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to go in right now and comb through them with my spoolie. I'm going to do the other side. keep in mind that brows are not twins. Brows are sisters, but they're not twins. So if yours are a little bit different, don't fret. Ain't no thing. Now that we have the general shape of our brows filled in, I'm gonna go in with just any old angle liner brush, and you can use any one that you have. And I'm gonna go in with a light taupe eyeshadow color, tap off the excess, and just fill in a little bit of the areas that I may have missed with the pencil. And once again, blending out with my spoolie. And that is about as close as I'm going to get for my brows today. I think they came out pretty good. So, moving forward. I am now going to go in with a flat eyeshadow brush. This is a mud brush, and the number also on this brush has sadly rubbed off, but it is a flat eyeshadow brush. You can use any one that you have, and I'm going to be using for eyeshadow today Morphe's 35W palette. It is this really nice, warm, kind of neutral colored palette, and it has matte and shimmery shades, and I really love it. And as you can tell, I use this color as a highlight all the time, the eyebrow highlight. I don't know if you can tell, but I hit pan like months ago. So I get a little bit of that on the tip of my flat shadow brush and just get it right up to the very edge of my brow. And if you get any of this in your brows, just go back really lightly with your spoolie and brush it out. No big deal. Next, I'm going to be going in with Mud's 800S brush. It is the same as the 800 brush. The S just means that it has a short handle, and I like that. It's not even really a short handle, like it fits in my hand just fine, but I guess the regular 800 brush is like longer. Anyway, so I'm going in with this really light taupe color as a transition color. You can use any like light brown that you have, and it's not even really going to show up. You're just using this as an eyeshadow transition, and this is going to add a lot more depth and dimension to your eyeshadow, even with it being so light in this light spring look. So I just start at the outer corner of my eye and work in circular / windshield wiper motions. I just kind of go back and forth until it's all blended out, and it's really easy to blend with any kind of fluffy brush that you have, as long as you start out really light. Next, I'm going to be going in with this nice light pink shade. It's not really shimmery, but it's not completely matte either. It has like a little sparkle. I would call it like pearly. We'll go with pearly. It has like a nice pearlescent sheen. And I go in with that the same as my transition color, because this is, I'm gonna go in right on top of my transition color. And next, I'm going to be going in with this a little bit darker, I can't even really see. Really, it looks really bright on camera, and it is a little bit of a bright shade, but I'm going in with this purple color, and I'm just gonna be light with it. So, same brush, tiny bit on it, tap off the excess, and start in the corner, and then you can build up a little more, and a little more, and a little more as you see fit for yourself. In this shade, I'm just kind of concentrating it more on just the outer corner. I'm still using this fluffy brush, so it's not going to be like super concentrated, but I'm not bringing it in toward the inner corner as much as I was with the other shades. Next, I'm going to be going in with that same flat eyeshadow brush that I used earlier, and I'm going in with this really light, it kind of has like a pinky cream undertone, and it's really shimmery, and so I really like it for a lid color for this type of look, but I don't want it to fall down on my cheekbones, so I still am going to be tapping the excess off. Always tap the excess off. I shouldn't have to say it all the time. Just tap excess product off your brushes. You can always build up more later if you want more product, but start with a light layer, and if you like it, you can keep it. If you want more, you can add more. So I'm going to be taking this and just patting it all over the lid from inner corner to outer. Ooh, it looks pretty. And then going in with my fluffy brush with no extra product and just blending out that crease to make sure the two colors come together nicely instead of with a harsh line. Then I'm going to be going in and just darkening up my crease a little bit with still a fluffy eyeshadow brush. It's just a little bit smaller so I can get a little more concentrated in my crease. It is the Morphe C139 stiff tapered crease brush, and I'm going to be going in with that same purple color that I used earlier, a tiny bit of product on my brush, and just going in and darkening up that outer corner in the crease just a little bit, and then just when I feel like I have all the product off of my brush, I'm blending it down a little bit on the lid, but just a tiny bit. Then with the same fluffy brush that I was using earlier, the 800S, I'm going to be going in with this really light pink color. It's kind of like washed out in the light, but it's a really light pink in the 35W palette. Maybe it'll come off. Maybe you could see it a little better here. It almost looks like a blush, but it's a small eyeshadow color, and I'm going in really lightly with it over the top of my crease, and it's just going to blend those purple and pink shades and make sure that they transition nicely into my brow highlight, which I did put on earlier, but I'm going to go over it again. I always go over it after I'm done with my eyeshadow look, just to make sure that it doesn't get too muddy up there. So now that I've done that, I'm just quickly doing that, and I'm going to go in with the same brow highlight that I used earlier and just concentrate it right up underneath my brows. See how it just makes it stand out a little bit better? Then I'm going to be going in with my same lid color, the sparkly one. Well, not sparkly, shimmery. They sound the same, but I kind of picture two different things in my head. The shimmery shade that I used on my lid, I'm going to be using it over the top of my brow highlight, however, only concentrated at the highest arch of my brow. So right here is where I'm going to be putting that shimmery shade. And I like to do that because the shimmer just catches a little bit more light than the matte shade, and so it just makes it look a little more defined, and it's gorgeous with this spring look that we're going for. That is the eyeshadow. Always still looks a little weird without liner and lashes, but we'll get to that. Next, for my liner, I like to use the Ben Nye Cake Eyeliner in black. It is the blackest eyeliner ever, which I love. And I'm just using a pointed liner brush, and this stuff, it looks like eyeshadow in the container, but it's not. You you get it and it doesn't like really do anything. You have to get it wet. So I use a little spray bottle, and I like to spray a really light spray on the actual liner part, like the cake liner part, but I spray most of it in the lid and then like swirl my brush around in the lid to get the brush wet and then get it into the liner instead of getting the liner all wet and liquidy. It kind of comes off gray, and it doesn't pick up a lot of the liner if it gets too wet. So if I get my brush wet and then dip it into the liner, it works a lot better. That's just what I found in my experience. So this is hard to do backward, but I swirl it around in the water so my brush is nice and wet, and then I just do the same kind of swirly action, but I can't do it here. And I do that in the liner, load up my brush with it, and then go to town. You can do any kind of liner that you want, by the way, for this. I just think it would look really nice with a nice bold black defined winged liner. If you're not comfortable with that, if you don't like that, then you can go ahead and go in with an angled liner brush and like a dark brown powder and do your liner that way, or you can do it any other way that you prefer, but I'm going to be doing it this way today. So this is how my eyeliner came out. I'm actually quite pleased with it. Next, I'm going to be going in with the L'Oreal Infallible Never Fail eyeliner. It is in the shade brown. You can absolutely use black if you want to. I just have brown. I like it because it is a twist up instead of one that you have to sharpen, which is great because I'm going to be tight lining with this, and I don't like anything to be super sharp in my tight line. So I just go in and get right up underneath my eyeliner in that waterline. Do you guys hear the dog howling outside? It's not my dog. My dog's right here. This dog underneath us, I think. We live on the second floor of these apartments. There's a dog outside howling during my filming. Hello, I'm filming. Next, I'm going to be going in and quickly curling my eyelashes. I use a spoon to curl my eyelashes. You can absolutely use your eyelash curler, but if you would like a tutorial on how I do it with my spoon, just let me know in the comments below. I'll absolutely do a tutorial about that. Next, always, after curling your eyelashes, mascara. I like to use the CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume. It's the orange one. I just really like the wand, and it works really great on my lashes. You can use any mascara that tickles your fancy. I should mention I'm trying really hard not to make those weird mascara faces that we all make. I don't like seeing myself on camera with this mascara face, but pardon me if I make it. Mouth, girl. Did you think we were done with the eyeshadow? We're not. There's still going to be some that we're putting on the lower lash line, but I don't know why I like to wait until my liner and lashes are done, but I do. So I'm going to be going in with this little smudger brush by Morphe, and I like to use this for under my eyes because it's not as sharp as like an angled liner brush. It's a little more fluffy, but it's not super fluffy because it's really small. And so I can get in there because it's so tiny, but it's not like a sharp line. I can really blend it out with this same brush. I love this brush for doing eyeshadow underneath my eyes. So I'm gonna be going in with that light pink shade that we used earlier as the transition color and just smudging it all underneath my eye right here. I'm gonna try and replicate whatever we have on top on the bottom. Then with the same brush, I'm gonna be going in with the purple shade that we used earlier and just go right over the top of that pink shade. Then with the little fluffy brush that I was using earlier, I'm going to be going in with the same shimmery shade that we used on the lid and as the right at the arch highlight, and just doing a little inner corner highlight with that. Then I'm going to go in with my little angle liner brush and just use like any kind of dark brown that you have. And this is optional, you can leave it like this if you want to, but I'm just going to bring a tiny bit of depth to the outer corner and just put a little bit of that light brown shade just on the outer corner, connecting it to the wing of our liner. See the difference it makes? It's just like a little bit of depth on the outer corner. Then I'm going to take my little smudger brush and just blend everything together without any additional product. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of mascara on my lower lashes. Then for the lips, lips are really similar to brows to me in the way that they're really personal. Your lips for this look is like pretty much complete, but you can go with a really light nude pinky color if you wanted to. You could go with something more bold, you could go with something dark, but for this springtime look I'm always into really bright pink shades, and so I'm going to use a bright pink but tone it down a little bit, because right now you can tell that my lips are pretty pink. All I have right now on is chapstick, the Burt's Bees chapstick. So on moisturized lips, I moisturized my lips before I started, that way the chapstick could just be soaking into my lips as I was doing the rest of my face, so they're nice and moisturized. I'm going to be using this NYX lip liner pencil in the shade Bloom. It's a really bright pink color. Here, I'll swatch it for you. It looks like this. It's like really like exciting pink, if you know what I mean. And I'm going to be really lightly, I can't talk while I'm doing it, but I'm going to be really lightly lining the outer edge of my lip and then just taking my finger and blending it inward. Then I'm going to be going in with a Nabi lip liner pencil in the shade Peach. Another pink that I don't know why it's called peach. It doesn't look peach at all. It's a really, really light pearly pink color. And so I'm just going to be going in on the inner part of my lips with it. Ooh. Ooh, these look nice together. Going to be going over the top of my lips with this L'Oreal gloss in the shade Cherry Blossom. It's just like a really light, shimmery pink color. And then I'm going to be going back in with the NYX color in Bloom and just lightly going over the edges of where I already put the liner on the outside, just to bring back the depth that I may have blended out with the lip gloss. Next, I'm going to be going in really quickly with my tapered brush that I used earlier for my cheek highlight and just really lightly put a little bit on my Cupid's bow. Just to accentuate it a little bit more. So this look can be done right now, but I'm gonna put lashes. So there you have it. This is the completed look. I hope you like it. This is one of my favorite springtime looks. It looks great with any color eye, any color complexion, and I really just love it. I love the bright colors, so I hope you liked it too. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments below, and let me know if there's anything else that you like for springtime, or if there's any other tutorials that you would like to see. But until next time, thank you for watching. I'm watching too much TV. I'm watching too much TV. I'm sorry, my dog wants to play with his ball right now, and this is not a good time, Axel. And I just threw it, so he thinks that this is a good time. Why don't you speak English? Anyway, crayon, contour, let's get to it. Stop. I'm filming. And then I'm gonna take just a, I'm gonna take that ball away. It's like a little dog too. It's just like out there just howling and howling. Like, as a dog owner, how do you not hear that and make your dog shut up? I don't get it. So, why are you crying now? Oh my gosh, dogs of the world unite and ruin my filming.